Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. So today I am filming basically my best books that are not romance. So these are books that are not like in the romance genre. I mean, the top, I'm going to say number one, I feel like can be specified as like a romance, but I mean I feel like it could have worked without a happy ending, which yeah, but it can be specified as a romance. But I have read, it's not like the most romance heavy book, and yeah, a romance is basically, it could have worked without a romance. So let's just get into it. These one don't have like a particular order except the last three. Those have. So these have no particular order except the like top three, maybe four. So let's just get into the top 10 of other books in other genres. So the first one I want to mention is Where the Heart Is, and this is basically about Nobly Nation, and she's 17 and her boyfriend is taking her to California because he is going to become a rock star basically, and she's pregnant. And if I remember correctly, 7 is her unlucky number. Basically what happens is that I think they stop in Oklahoma, and what basically happens is that her boyfriend just leaves her there, and it's her life basically trying to raise this child. And yeah, I just really like this, and this one has like a, let's call it a small romance, but she don't think that she deserves it. And this love interest, basically you are rather going to hate him or love him. He's very like quirky, and he's really weird, but you know, I really like him. I have seen the movie, and yeah, overall really like it. And then the next one I want to talk about is a manga, and that is Attack on Titan. And this is basically about humanity, and they have built 3 walls because of these humanoid creatures called Titans that eats humans. They are outside of this wall. And then in the first novel, or first volume, this large Titan basically arrives and knocks down the first wall. And basically we are following Eren, and basically he wants to become this person who hunts basically Titans. So it's, yeah, I have read like 6 volumes I think, and I have really enjoyed all of them. So that is definitely something that needs to be on my list. And then we have Between Shades of Grey. I read this really early in the year, and I don't remember her name because I'm, never remember names. But basically she is, basically it's war, and she is basically captured, and it's basically their journey to Siberia. Is that the name? And it's a love interest here, but basically they are, yeah, I don't know how to explain this, because yeah, if you like historical fiction, then I would definitely try this. It's a movie made out of it called Ashes in the Snow, and I definitely can't wait to watch the adaptation of this. And then we have Felix Ever After. And this is about Felix, and basically someone posted pictures of like him and his dead name, and it's about growing up, and he basically tries to, I almost said catfish, this boy that he thinks did it, and it's all complicated, but I really did love this book. And I just feel like this is something everyone should try. I really loved it. It is like a small romance-ish going on in here, but that wasn't the main center. Basically, his father has struggles basically coping with that Felix and kind of using his new name. And I really love this, and yeah, definitely should be something you try. Then we have Shatter Me. And you might think, why isn't this in my romance thing? I don't think this is like fully like romance, what I think of as romance. It has a romance plot line, but I feel like most of the story is about Juliet. I didn't explain what this was about. It's about Juliet. So basically, Juliet, she is in, let's call it an asylum. Basically, because of her powers, they can kill with one touch. And then this guy called Warner, he comes in, and he wants to use her basically for war purposes. So the reason why I didn't take this in basically the romance thing is that I feel like this is more about Juliet growing. And yeah, I mean, there is a romance element, but I mean, overall, this would work fairly well without romance. I liked romance in it, but it could also work without romance. And the romance, I don't think it kind of takes the front line, at least not in the books that I have read yet. It has a center part, but I feel like the main part is Juliet trying to figure out everything. Then we have The Beast Player. And this is about Ellen, and basically her mother is taking care of these serpent-like creatures that are used in war. And then basically what happens is that these serpents that are in her care die, and she's sentenced to death. And she, on her last dying breath, her mother sends her away out into the world, and now she must survive. She has this connection with both like the serpent-like creatures, but also the kind of queen's, let's call it, creature, which is this like big eagle, owl, I don't know what to call it. And yeah, I really like this book. I have seen the anime 1,000 times. I love it every single time. If you want like this book, particularly in an anime form, do it. It's really good. Then it's called Kimono no Suya Eirin. Really love it. Then we get over to the next one, and that is My Dark Vanessa. And if you want a dark book, this was said to be a dark book. This was darker. It has all the trigger warnings that you can think of. Not like that, but it has pedophilia and a lot of things. Basically, this book is about Vanessa, and she and her teacher basically gets in a relationship, and it's wrong. It's set in 2 timelines, And basically, the current timeline is basically Vanessa in her 30s, basically coping with this relationship that she was in with her teacher when someone accuses him of basically pedophilia, and her coping with that. So I don't know how I'm going to explain this book, because I don't think it's right to say that I loved it, because that just is, I just feel like that is the wrong term. I don't know how to explain how I feel about this book. It's on the best list. I feel like this is clearly showing that he has been grooming her, because she don't think that what he did was wrong, even though it definitely is. So yeah, basically, before you go into it, read the trigger warnings, because there are a lot of trigger warnings. Then we get into the top 3 books. So number 3 is Orange, Volume 1. This is about a girl, and she gets a letter from the future saying that if you don't change this and this and this, then one of the students that you basically go with will be dead before the end of the semester. And it's her and her friend group trying to change that. So I don't know how it's going to end. I have only read the first volume, but what I read was amazing. I loved it. This is like a 3-4, maybe a 400 paged anime. No, paged manga, and I just sat through it and just read it all the way through, and I loved it. It was heartbreaking. It was so good. And then number 2 is The Way of Kings. And to be honest, I have no idea how I'm going to explain this book, because it's so complicated. We are following a few different kinds of view. We have Shalon, who is on her way to this scholar to basically say that she wants to learn from her, but she's after this thing that she has because her father is dead and her brothers are basically broke. And then we have Delinar. I think his name is Delinar, and he is basically a close. He's a soldier, close to the king, and basically he is in war with the Parshendi, which basically, when this happens, it has gone a lot of years, so they are just in war with the Parshendi. The reason why the war happened was because the Parshendi killed their king. So now it's just a war on basically who can get enough sharp blades, which is these things that make them stronger. And then we have Kaladin, and he was a soldier, but now he basically is a slave, and we are following him mostly through him traveling to the place where he's supposed to be sold to. That is kind of the views. It's a long book, and it basically has a lot of different things, and I feel like you need to read this book several times to actually catch up on things that is happening in this book. I love this. It's number 2. Then we have number 1, and that is House of Earth and Blood. So this is the book where you can say that it is a romance, but I feel like this book actually could have worked without a romance in it. So I didn't put it in my romance reads just because I feel like it could have worked without a romance. The romance is not the main point, I almost said. Don't get me wrong, I love the romance in this book. I don't think it would have been the same if you didn't have a romance in this. I'm just saying that you could have had an unhappy ending in this book, but I am happy that it ended how it ended, and that you do have a romance that I really love that much. So, House of Earth and Blood. I don't think you should know much about this book. Basically, what is the name again? We are basically following Bryce, and she has this friend who basically puts this bad guy behind locks, and then when something terrible happens after this person comes out again, she is basically thrown into this investigation, and she also gets a bodyguard, and he is basically this fallen angel called Hunt. That is kind of the premise I want to tell you. Don't read behind the book because I feel like it spoils something. So this is my best book. I loved it, and yeah, to being a 800-page book, I can't wait to continue on. But that was all the best books of the other genres that I have read. So I will get back later with my favorite romance books. So I hope I will see you next time. Bye!